Originally designed for a schizophrenic werewolf, went on a full moon killing spree the summer of '92.
Ironic, considering you were thrashed by a werewolf.
It was inevitable.
When people first watched Wednesday Season 2, most of them assumed that a lot of what they were seeing had to be CGI magic. The truth, though, is way more surprising because a bunch of what ended up on screen was actually practical effects, clever sets, and long hours of work from the cast and crew. One of the wildest examples is Thing. A lot of viewers probably thought the creepy little hand was computer-generated, but it wasn't. It was really the hand of Victor Dorobantu, who dressed up in a blue suit so the effects team could erase everything except his hand later on. He did all those moves for real, even the trick where Thing grabs the serial killer. That scene wasn't some fake visual gag, it actually had to be shot multiple times until it looked just right. And it wasn't just that. The scene where knives are dropped dangerously close to Thing, Victor had to work with real knives, which meant putting his most valuable tool, his right hand, at risk every single take. It really shows how much of Wednesday isn't about flashy digital tricks, but about practical risks, patience, and precision. The set of Nevermore Academy also added to that authenticity because the main building wasn't designed with CGI. Instead, production shot at Charleville Castle in Ireland. The crew even recreated the castle's massive window on a soundstage so they could switch between the real location and studio sets without breaking continuity. To make things look even richer, gargoyles were hand-sculpted one by one, while the imposing front gates were built on an actual road with a real seminary behind them, which gave the whole place a grounded look. Even the collapsed Iago Tower wasn't a digital trick. They built a steel-framed, life-sized collapsed tower set, dug out the stage for depth, and filled it with rubble to make it look like the destruction was physically there. Of course, some parts did need VFX. Take Ajax and his snake hair. No one's actually growing serpents out of their scalp, so the team had to mix prosthetics with digital effects. The actor wore a bald cap covered with black and white tracking stickers so the VFX crew could carefully map the snakes in later. To sell the illusion, he had to sit in the makeup chair for more than 2 hours every day just to get the bald cap and scalp detailing blended perfectly before cameras even rolled. But when it comes to makeup, Ajax didn't actually have the toughest job. That title went to Slurp, whose terrifying appearance relied heavily on prosthetics. Every day, he had layers of prosthetic appliances glued down, textured with airbrushing, and detailed with painted veins and contact lenses. The makeup team had to hover nearby to constantly touch up areas so nothing peeled under the hot lights. Removing it each night was apparently a full ordeal that practically peeled off with a sound, making the transformation one of the most intense parts of production. Another fascinating trick had to do with Wednesday's black tears. Many fans thought they were all digital, but most of the effect was actually practical. The makeup team experimented with a bunch of methods, like pre-painting streaks or trying tubing rigs, but none of it looked quite right. What finally worked was surprisingly simple. Right before the cameras rolled, an artist would use a pipette to place a single black droplet on Jenna Ortega's cheek so it would slide down naturally. Then, the VFX team would just tweak the starting point in post-production so it looked like it came from her tear duct. For the streaks that had to stay visible, they used water to carve a trail and painted along it with water-based makeup that dried into a perfect line. It's such a clever balance of practical and digital work, and it explains why it felt so eerily real on screen. Stunts played a bigger role than many people realize too. Even though Wednesday isn't exactly a big action show, the scenes with falls and fights still needed a lot of coordination. Jenna Ortega had her own stunt double, Jenny, who handled the heavier action like falling from heights or the big landing shots. The production mixed close-ups of Jenna with wider shots of Jenny, stitching them together so smoothly in the edit that viewers barely noticed the switch. It's all about finding that balance where the star's face sells the character while the stunt performer brings the physicality. And then there's the famous dead dance. This moment became such a hit with fans, but the secrecy behind filming it was just as dramatic as the scene itself. The actual track was kept so tightly guarded that even the choreographer only got access to it for a few minutes at a time before the file link expired. Emma Myers and Agnes, who danced alongside Jenna, had to rehearse their moves to drum beats instead of the real song, which made it even harder. On top of that, Emma filmed her floating spin using a simple rig that rotated her while the rest of the cast and crew kept everything calm and steady around her. The whole thing feels less like a chaotic shoot and more like a group of friends quietly building something magical together. The behind-the-scenes fun didn't stop there, though. In between takes, the cast often loosened up. Tyler was spotted slipping into a diva dress and spinning around while the crew laughed. Jenna herself even tried a small backflip during downtime in a rigged car set, which was a stunt for the show but more of a playful stretch that made everyone chuckle. These little off-camera moments made the production feel less rigid and more like a creative playground. Speaking of the atmosphere, Jenna Ortega has shared on a podcast just how much she loved working on Season 2. She talked about how kind and hardworking the crew was, calling them some of the sweetest people she's ever worked with. She even joked about wanting them all to move in with her because she enjoyed their company so much. Filming in Ireland added another layer of charm since she described the country as poetic, surreal, and the perfect backdrop for a story like Wednesday. For Jenna, stepping back into the role of Wednesday was both familiar and challenging. She said playing the character requires constant reminders to do less because Wednesday's personality is about restraint and subtlety rather than over-the-top expressions. That meant Ortega had to constantly pull back, focusing more on physicality and controlled movement than on naturalistic acting. After playing the character for so long, she admitted that some of Wednesday's traits slipped into her own personality outside of filming simply because she practiced them daily. Working with her trusted hair and makeup artist from Season 1, Nirvana Jalavand, also made the process smoother. Jenna mentioned how much she trusted Jalavand's work, which meant there was no hesitation or second-guessing during long days on set. It gave her the confidence to fully lean into the character, and by Season 2, she felt Wednesday had grown slightly more comfortable in her surroundings, maybe even a little more playful, which made slipping into the costume and tone again exciting rather than stressful. All in all, what Season 2 proved was that the magic of Wednesday doesn't just come from CGI or editing tricks. It's built from real sets like Charleville Castle, handcrafted props like gargoyles, physical stunts handled by skilled doubles, and makeup transformations that required endless patience. Add in the fun moments of the cast joking around, the crew's hard work, and Jenna's dedication to her character, and it becomes clear why the show feels so alive on screen. It's the mix of practical effects and human creativity that makes it all work, even though plenty of fans assumed it was just green screens and computer graphics. So the next time someone says Wednesday is all digital trickery, you can point to the reality. A magician in a blue suit acting as a severed hand, a prosthetic-covered actor enduring hours in the makeup chair, and a gothic tear created with nothing more than a pipette and clever editing. That's the real magic behind Season 2, and it makes the final product even more impressive because it shows how much effort and imagination went into every detail. Well, that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe because we'll be covering more updates on this soon and other exciting upcoming movies and series. See you next time!